Have you ever been in a situation where your boss gave you a goal or a quota, and when you looked at it, you said, this is impossible? Or if you own your own business, you have some objective, some target you're trying to hit, some way in which you'd love to grow your business, and yet there's a part of you that when you think about that, you say, that's just not possible. It is one of the most challenging things when you're running a team and yet the team doesn't believe they can achieve what it is that you're trying to do, or in your own business when you yourself, there's a part of you that has fear, doubt, or worry that it's even possible to achieve what you would love to have. Well, let me share with you one of the most defining moments in my leadership career. There was a moment where I walked into my boss's office and he said, I want to offer you an opportunity. And yet when he shared the opportunity, fear ran through my body because the opportunity was to take over a division of our company that had failed 3 different times, being led by 3 of the best leaders in our organization. And yet he wanted me to try and achieve the goal that he had set, taking what looked impossible and make it possible. I said yes to that opportunity, and as a result, I learned some things along the way. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 surefire ways that not only for yourself, your own leadership, but for you and your team, you can reach your full potential and absolutely turn the impossible into possible. My name's John Boggs. I'm the co-founder of the Brave Thinking Institute, where I also serve as CEO and founder of our business and leadership division. So let's start with the word impossible and the relationship between what we think is impossible and something that actually is possible. And one of the things that I love is studying examples of other leaders that took things that looked impossible and absolutely brought them to life. Things like Thomas Edison and the light bulb, or the Wright brothers creating controlled manned flight, or our ability as a human race to walk on the moon. There are lots of examples of things that looked impossible in one moment and yet in another moment were absolutely our reality. In the modern world today, there are some other great examples. Think about some of the sporting achievements that have been accomplished. Michael Phelps winning 8 gold medals in one Olympics. An absolutely achievement that most people would believe is impossible, he made reality. Or another example, the transformation in the business world today that Amazon has had on retail consumer business. Think about this. Who would have imagined 10 years ago that you could order absolutely anything that you want and it would be on your doorstep in less than 24 hours for free? Talk about taking something that in business that looked impossible and making it our reality today, transforming the business world. Another example that we're right on the brink today of achieving is space tourism. Imagine your ability to buy a ticket the same way you would buy a ticket today to go somewhere in the world to take a vacation, and yet the vacation is in space. Something that seemed impossible that today is absolutely possible. You see, it is that believing power, your ability to know that you actually can take something that looks impossible and turn it into your reality, that is the key first step. At the Brave Thinking Institute, the way that we exercise that in our leadership and with our teams starts with our first core value. We believe in people. We know that each one of us, you and me, and those we lead, are more powerful than any circumstance, situation, or condition they might be facing. You see the world around you, what you currently see as the results, those are just the evidence of everything that people have tried up until this moment. And here's the deal. When you put these 3 surefire ways I'm going to share with you today into action, they're going to change the way that you think, the way that you act, and the way that your team performs in a way that absolutely will help you take that goal that you currently think is impossible and turn it into your reality. So the first surefire way for you to inspire, motivate, and help your team reach its potential, taking what looks impossible and making it possible, is to have a very clear objective in mind. Paint a clear picture on where the team is headed. Whether they believe in that particular objective or not in the beginning actually isn't important, but they do need to know exactly where you're heading. What is the destination that you as the leader have set? Because here's the cool part of having a very clear objective. Once you have the objective, you can then break it down into achievable benchmarks. Really doesn't matter whether or not the big goal they have the believing power to think is possible. You can take it, break it down, and have absolutely achievable steps along the way. Heck, Mount Everest. If you want to climb Mount Everest, you climb Mount Everest by taking one step at a time, working your way up the mountain. You can just talk about Base Camp 1, Base Camp 2, Base Camp 3. And here's what happens as you set achievable benchmarks, of course, that are headed in the direction of the clear initiative that you're looking to achieve. People begin to have little wins. And there's something really cool that happens as you help them have these little wins along the way. Wow, we reached Base Camp 1. Think about how great we feel. We're on our way to Base Camp 2. That builds momentum. And in alignment with clear objectives, it's really important that you have both hard deck and stretch goals. Let me explain in reference to the base camps. Our impossible goal is reaching the summit of Mount Everest. We've got Base Camp 1, 2, and 3. Our team might believe that it's going to take us a week to get to Base Camp 1. We can set that as a hard deck goal. We can hold ourselves accountable. We are reaching Base Camp 1 in a week. But we can also set a stretch goal. What would it take for us to reach Base Camp 1 in 4 days instead of a week? Who would we have to be? How would we have to think? What ideas would that generate? When we include both accountable hard deck goals and then we allow for possibility stretch goals, we absolutely move in the direction of taking what looks impossible and making it possible, reaching our full potential as a team. The second of the 3 sure ways to help your team reach its potential, taking what looks impossible and making it possible, is for you to be able to clearly answer why. Why does this impossible goal that you have matter? Why does it matter, number one, to the company? What happens for the organization if you as a team reach this impossible goal? Secondly, not only to the company, why does it matter to the team? What will happen for the team? What does it look like? What is the impact to them as a team if they reach this goal? Do they have a clear image in mind of what it would feel like? Imagine, back to our Mount Everest analogy, imagine the team standing on the summit, planting the goal. What happens for them as a team as a result of that? The identity of the team. One of the things that I absolutely love about that image is once we've done that once, what's next for us as a team? The other ways in which we can create great impact. It's an amazing feeling when you achieve that goal as a team. And then the third important why to answer is how does it affect them as individuals? Why does it matter to them individually? What's going to happen for them? Is there some positive impact that it'll create in their own life? I think the answer is obvious. Of course, anytime we're part of something where we achieve something great, the impact to our own self-esteem, the value that we believe we can bring to whatever is next for us expands to a whole nother level. You know, as a leader, it's really important for us when we want something, for us to be able to help answer what it will do. What does achieving this do for others? One of my all-time favorite leaders and leadership teachers is Zig Ziglar. You might know Zig. I can hear Zig in my mind saying, you can get anything in life you want as long as you're willing to help enough other people get to what they want. His southern accent. I know that's a horrible Zig Ziglar impression, but I can just hear it clearly in my mind, and it's true. You can have anything that you desire as long as you're willing to help enough other people get what it is that they desire, what they want. So it's important that we know as an organization why this goal matters. Even if it looks impossible, what will it do for the organization? What will it do for the team? What will it do for the individuals? What happens for them when they achieve this thing that looks impossible, when they reach their full potential? Lastly, it's really important that they understand that their part of the mission matters. Each individual on the team, why does their position hold significance? They need to know what happens when they perform well and what happens if for some reason they don't. They matter on the team. They need to be able to know what significant place they play. When they know why, when you know why, when the team knows why, we reach our potential and we take the impossible and make it possible. And the third surefire way to inspire your team to reach its full potential is to increase the team's believing power. And the first way that we can help our people increase their believing power is for us to provide great feedback. Oftentimes people don't know exactly how they're doing. What are they doing that's working? What are they doing that needs adjustment? And one of my favorite ways to give feedback is what's called the Oreo way of giving feedback. Think about an Oreo cookie for a minute. You've got the top and the bottom, and then you've got the middle, the filling. So a great way to give feedback is to start with something positive, and if there's something constructive that we need to say that in the middle, and then end with something positive. Start with a positive, constructive feedback, end with a positive. Now, most leaders are masters at doing what we call the reverse Oreo. This is where you start with something negative because you're not happy with someone, and then you remember, I need to say something positive, so you say something positive, and then you end with something negative. So that's not you, that's not me. We want to be great leaders. You know, Jack Canfield is famous for saying feedback is the breakfast of champions. That's something I share all the time with my team. And by the way, it's not just for the team, it's also for you as the leader. In fact, maybe the most important way that you can engage in helping increase believing power with your team is for them to give you feedback, okay? That really works. In addition to feedback, another way that we can increase believing power is by being willing to be uncomfortable. You know, a famous leader once said that great leaders are willing to be uncomfortable, not for the sake of being uncomfortable, but for the sake of growth. And ultimately, in the end, this impossible goal, this dream that you're looking to achieve as a team, is all about growth. The biggest win isn't the achievement of getting to the top of the mountain. It's who you become in the process of the climb, because you take that with you far beyond the top of that one mountain. So how can you, with your team, make it okay to be uncomfortable? Well, let me tell you, you can start by talking about it. Whenever you're uncomfortable, you can mention it, and you can make it okay. You can support each other. You can celebrate being uncomfortable. You can make it fun to be uncomfortable. The truth is, goals are for growing, not for getting. So, speaking of being uncomfortable, I said yes to my boss early on in my career with an opportunity to take a division of our company that had failed 3 different times. It had gone bankrupt under 3 other great leaders. And here I am saying yes to an opportunity. What did I do? I followed these 3 keys. I went back to my team. We set very clear, crystal goals and objectives. Me as the new leader. They did not have at that time believing power. They had tried over and over again, and it had failed. So we took the goal, we took the crystal clear goal, and we answered some questions. Why did it matter for us to achieve? We were able to answer why for ourselves. We were able to take that big goal of making this division successful and break it down into some benchmarks, our own base camp 1, 2, and 3. And we were able to build momentum. And as we did that, we increased our believing power by being willing to be uncomfortable. So what happened? Well, let me tell you, the boss's original objective with the startup of this division is that it would be a $5 million a year business. And when I retired from that particular industry to become the CEO of this company, I handed over that division doing $60 million a year. Something that when I started that process looked absolutely impossible. We were not only able to make it predictable or probable, but we were able to make it our reality. And if you follow these steps, you too can help your team reach its full potential. You can inspire them to reach their potential, to take the impossible and make it possible. So now it's your turn. I would love to hear a story where you took something that looked impossible and made it your reality. And as important, how have you inspired your team when they thought something looked impossible? How have you inspired your team to reach its full potential? I'm sure you've got ideas that we can all benefit from. So please share it in the comments below. And if you're new to the community, let me say welcome. I'm glad that you're here. You can go ahead and click subscribe and share this video with those that you care about. Until next time, remember, think bravely and act boldly.